The entire world knows that how an AI post looks like when it is on LinkedIn, right? Those bold characters.
There has to be some schedule. You cannot have just one post in a month and expect you build a good relationship.
So, I that point in time I understood the value of your network that you have.
How people should avoid when they are posting content across the platform. So
But when it comes to LinkedIn, if your post is longer, your first 1.5 lines are very, very important. But then you have to understand the platform, that how it functions, and then mold your strategy towards that purpose.
hi Himani, good morning and welcome to the 10x Marketer podcast. Hi guys, welcome to yet another episode. I have Himani Kankaria with me, and we are discussing an important topic that says LinkedIn for founders. She is a B2B content and SaaS marketing expert, and she has a good personal brand as such on LinkedIn. And we would love to hear her insight on how to building a LinkedIn presence that inspire people to connect with you and maybe engage with your content as well. So welcome once again, Himani, and we'd love to start with the questions that is very simple. Why LinkedIn is so important for founders?
So first of all, Gidari, thank you so much for having me, on this amazing podcast. And yes, when it comes to LinkedIn, I think it is one of those platforms where people really expect sincere conversations, very professional conversations, and they are not looking for entertainment. And maybe, I would say even LinkedIn has maintained that professionalism in terms of algorithm, in terms of content, and all of those things. So I believe that's where the most crucial or even authentic people are available. Uh, and that's how it becomes very, very crucial for any kind of industry nowadays. I would say not just B2B, but even D2C founders are available. Sunil Shetty is available on LinkedIn, right? So now it's like um, it is one of those platforms which has become, I would say, the breathing pattern for professionals in this world.
So it's really nice to talk about LinkedIn with somebody who has his her own presence, very strongly communicating her message. What are the few building blocks that is like fundamental to anybody who is looking forward to LinkedIn, having LinkedIn as a marketing tool or maybe an engagement tool?
So I would say when it comes to fundamentals or something, I think number one thing that is required is to be active and be engaging. Right. So in terms of being engaging, I mean that they need to also interact with other people on LinkedIn before starting to even, post. So even if you start, for example, if you have just, you've been active on LinkedIn, but then you are now looking to become active, more active on LinkedIn, then in that case, you have to actually understand that LinkedIn is all about building relationships, right? So the moment you start posting something, you have to make sure that you have some connections in your LinkedIn who with whom you have been very interactive in terms of any engagement, whether it is DMs or whether it is comments on their post, or say liking maybe, or anything, right? If that kind of interactions have been happening with your audience, they are likely to see your post when you make them live.
Mm-hmm.
That is the first thing, that you should have your own network, and it that network needs to be active as well. So that
So
is one.
it's more of like nurturing the relationship than just having somebody as a connection on LinkedIn. That is most
Yeah.
important. And when you say engaging with them, it is engagement on both level. One, at the engaging with their content that they're posting, and second, maybe connecting with them one to one on DMs, discussing an important topic, and maybe having a conversation
Yeah.
that helps
Here
you
I'm
build the
not at
connection.
all here I'm not at all mentioning about, those cold outreach DMs that
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. So
So
those are
that
spam. We are
is
not
that
talking
that's a
about that.
complete no for LinkedIn.
Yes, so don't send unsolicited messages just to say that I'm trying to engage with you. Be authentic and maybe send something that is valuable for other people.
Exactly, exactly. Most of the time, asking for a help is the most recommended thing that even startup owners do these days. That they're coming up with a product and they have some kind of challenge that they are facing, which the other founder might have solved, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that they try and ask for a help. That okay, if you can help me with this process. When you go very very specific, that I want this and this is where I'm struggling, so your
Mm-hmm.
expertise in this area would help me.
Yeah.
Then that specific becomes very important for the person who is asking for help, and the
Mm-hmm.
who is reading can get that authenticity in the conversation, that okay, this is the purpose, and they are very clear about their purpose of meeting me, and I'm okay.
Yeah. So the other aspect of this, like reaching out and maybe posting the content part, is there has to be some schedule. You cannot have just one post in a month and expect you build a good relationship. So most founders, specifically the busy founders, do not have enough time to come up with content, and a lot of people are just trying to push more content with help of AI.
Hmm.
So when at one end we are talking authenticity, and on the other hand we are pushing content that is purely AI generated, maybe founder has not even thought about the content that is being posted on his or her behalf. So how do you tackle that problem? So most often I see people pushing a lot of content almost on everyday basis, but most of it is like, you can clearly see it's AI generated. There are no feelings, no emotions involved. Nobody thought about it before posting it live. How do you actually maintain the content calendar and also the engagement calendar? Because when you talk about personalization, when you talk about a relationship, it requires time and effort investment as well.
100%, 100%. So what happens is that we understand that all founders are very, very busy. They have, like I would say, tons of things to do on their
Mm-hmm.
plate, right? And in that space, there are some founders who are, very, like say, open on putting things on LinkedIn. They do it by themselves, right? Because for them, it becomes very, very, very easy, or maybe I would say a piece of cake to just had a thought and they just put it on LinkedIn, right? So those are the set of people or set of founders which actually require no such calendar and all of those things. But I would say when it comes to people who are, like say for them, LinkedIn is new, or maybe putting content is not something of their interest,
Mm-hmm.
right? In that case, what happens is that we have to understand that founders cannot post daily, right? It's not in their like say daily routine. And if they will do it, of course their audience will find it that okay, this is getting too much.
Mm-hmm.
Initially there was time that it was recommended, even we followed the same practice, that putting one content a day, even for my profile as well, right? That
Mm-hmm.
was the routine that we were following even 1.5 years ago. But the
Mm-hmm.
situations, the scenarios, the expectations of the people on LinkedIn has evolved, right? And even the algorithms are evolving. So even if like say I would say my recent post was after 1.5 months, right? So it was like that, it didn't affect the engagement that I usually get, or usually used to get earlier, right? Which means that people really want to read your content if that content is still valuable even after 2 months of posting. So, when it comes to founders, they can clearly define their own, schedule, that, okay, I don't want to be too aggressive. I don't want to be too active. I don't want to be too visible on LinkedIn, because even I would say that founders don't need to be doing that, right? So it's okay that we can have like say 2 days of a pattern, or maybe, once a week as a pattern for founders to be posting on LinkedIn. And to another question of yours, when it comes to AI, right? So what happens is that yes, if they don't have time, of course they will go to AI and they will ask that, okay, I want to write on this, just get me the content. And because they don't have time, they'll just clearly copy and paste it. this is again a very big no-no, because this now everyone knows, right? The entire world knows that how an AI post looks like when it is on LinkedIn, right? Those bold characters and with those emoticons and emojis and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows nowadays, and there are some terms like unlock, discover, enhance, and what not, right? So it is very easy, very visible to everyone now that okay, these are the AI driven content. So there people will start distancing you, right? They will feel that there is no such personal connect, right? That I'm not able to understand what you're writing and whether you are the same person who is writing the content, right? So if the audience feel the same disconnect, they will start distancing from you. They will interact less with you on LinkedIn, or even maybe they'll say on face when they meet you offline that hey, your content has been those AI thing, why are you doing it, right? If they are really close connections. And these are such conversations that I have seen happening around me, right? So I'm like, oh yes, this can also happen. So in that case, there are two things that can be done. Until and unless you feel that you want to share things that are very personalized or very you kind of a thing, that the person who you are, right? If you are not ready with that kind of content, ask chat gpt to make it that. Because uh, just asking the topic to AI or ChatGPT that okay, post it. I want to write something on, like, say, content, right? Just give me content mistakes, and they just share the list of content mistake, and I'll just post it. If I'm just asking for, say, fintech industry stats, they'll give me fintech industry stats, and I'll just paste it. Then that will not make a connection. Maybe I need to understand more that how I can train AI that okay, this is what my likings are. I would love having a content which is conversational, which is more human, more simple English, where any of my target audience can understand. Or there are some people who write in their regional languages as well, so you can also ask ChatGPT to do it, right? So you can train, or you can ask ChatGPT to bring your flavor to the content, and then you can make minor editing and just paste it. If
Okay.
that is not possible, then there is another thing which is which option is available for the founders, are the external help or third party help. You can have your internal team to do it for you, or you can
Mm-hmm.
hire a freelancer or maybe an agency like us or anything, right? So that's where you can bridge that gap, and you don't have to be super duper involved in actually creating the content, but rather giving them thoughts or maybe reviewing the content that they have given you.
Okay, so the other part is like the balancing between authenticity and the professionalism part. So one, you have to stay authentic, that is given, and the other part is you have to also stay professional. You cannot just put everything that comes to your mind, just trying to being authentic. So what is the fine line when it comes to posting something that is like authentic and professional? So one is I'm not able to differentiate between the two. You can be both at the same time, but still there are people who say that I have to be professional, I cannot post everything on LinkedIn. So where do you draw that line, and is there a line something like that?
Right. So I would say that, see, there are times that for the sake of engagement, there are posts which are actually not really relevant for your audience or something like that. And then at those period, we also feel that, okay, now LinkedIn is also becoming like an Instagram, getting things which are not professional and which were not required, right? So I would say that, of course, mistakes happen with any one of us, right? So it's fine if you've done that already. I might have done it in the past, or things happen. But in that case, eventually you have to understand that what are the expectations of your audience, right? Usually I was a person, I never post personal things that happen in my life on LinkedIn, right? But then there was an incident last year that when I lost my father-in-law, and he was very very close to my heart, right? And it took me great courage of, like, say, 2 months to, curate a post that I actually wanted to post on LinkedIn, which was not a LinkedIn material, I would say. But then, there were some things in my profession that I have learned during my business and, my entrepreneurship from him, right? So that was the time that I, decided that no, this is something which is like, I think maybe the things that I have learned, maybe it can be a learning experience for other people, or, the people in my network, right? And that's when I decided and I posted it. And I would say, I got a lot of calls and messages that this is one of your most emotional, I would say that, we were able to connect with you more, like say that exactly who you are as a person, right? So and people just loved the way it was curated, so because it was emotional, because it was authentic. So of course, and still, when you mentioned about, maintaining that professionalism, yes, even if you want to post something which is not aligned with your profession or your career, you can post them, but it has to align with the expectations of your target audience from you, right? That is one thing. And of course, it has to stick to, what you've been doing, right, for the community, for your audience, for your team, for your business, for yourself, right? If it is a learning lesson message to somebody in your network, professionally they can grow, learn, then definitely you can choose to post that particular content on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so see, the next part of the question that I have in my mind is one is, of course, you have to maintain authenticity, connection, and professionalism. Second is, should a founder go with an agenda when they are making connections on LinkedIn? I'm sure that there must be some thought process behind it, but should there be an agenda? One is, of course, you talked about seeking help, then maybe seeking investment for your business, seeking the right talent to hire, maybe connecting with your clients. That could be an agenda. Uh, Getting new business from LinkedIn also could be an agenda. Getting speakers like you to talk to you also could be an agenda. So, how do you define, like, one is there can be multiple conflicting things in mind when it comes to posting and engaging, and second is, if you have an agenda or if you're an agenda driven person, like talking only specific, is this a good approach to build a LinkedIn profile like that?
Yeah, why not? It is very important. It is very nice. And I think that is the most important thing when approaching any marketing, right? So, whether it is LinkedIn or whether it is any other platform, it is very important to have a purpose, right? So, when you have a clear purpose that, okay, this is one thing that I'm here for, it becomes very easy for you to take actions, right? But yes, we have to also understand that the importance, or the working style of that particular platform. So if it is LinkedIn, of course, we have to understand that, even if we are here for lead generation, we have to take care of the brand awareness part as well, and not just we can keep on, outreaching people for sales. And there has to be a certain process that should be followed for the sales process, right? Like say for example, if you're like say here for um, maybe sharing your knowledge, right? So my particular purpose from 20, I think 14 or 15, I started being very active on LinkedIn. So from there, I just wanted, or I just had one purpose, that okay, aaj jo seekha, whatever I have learned today, I'm going to post it tomorrow. That was the simple purpose that I had, and that was the process or activity, whatever you call it. I used to do it. And I did it for, like, say, so many years. And that's what helped me with a lot of connections, that now when we meet at certain conferences, people say that, hey, we've been connected on LinkedIn for so long, and now finally we are meeting. So that moment, or that like say meeting your network in person becomes, like say, your amazing moment of that time, right? So it's like that, right? So it is amazing to have a particular goal or a purpose, but then you have to understand the platform, that how it functions, and then mold your strategy towards that purpose.
Yeah. So I also met two, three speakers, like two, three people who've been on my podcast. When I met them in person in real life, the energy was completely different. The moment I said, I already hosted you on the podcast. Oh, you are that person. It takes them for a moment to realize that I'm meeting somebody who was there hosting me as a guest. So it's definitely something that you have to look for when you're building a connection. Now, the other important aspect, Himani, is there's a lot of video content that is pushed by LinkedIn these days. And not every founder, every person is good at creating video content. And I mean, you can be a camera shy, you can have not so good communication when you're speaking, that can make you hesitant. So how do you stay in the race if you are not able to put the right content formats, and does that affect engagement overall?
So I would say the people who have been, following the video content, not every video content is getting too much engagement. It is all about the context that you are bringing in the video content. And on LinkedIn, what we have seen is there are so many people who post without any media content, right? They just put a text post, right? Still their engagement goes amazing way, like say 200 likes and 30 reposts and whatnot, right? Without adding any media. So yes, every platform will try to push certain features to see how people are adopting it, right? But on LinkedIn, I would say the people who have been non-camera conscious, or the people who are very comfortable sharing their thoughts through a video content, definitely they are getting good results, and they will continue until their content has context or depth that the people expect. But it's nothing like that the content without a video content, or the media, any other media which is a graphic or a gif or an infographic or whatever, even carousels, right? If
Mm-hmm.
even if you don't have those things, still your content can reach the audience if it has that depth that your audiences expect.
And now the other aspect is, let's say you want to attract talent for your company, for your founder, B2B or SaaS, whichever company you have. What kind of posting? Like I've seen people posting about their employee stories, building like we are a value human relationships and we are a good company. Come work with us. What are the strategies to attract the top talent when you are on LinkedIn as a founder?
So I would say, to attract the talent, I believe the talent needs to connect with you, right? Like say they need to find that connection with you. Like say we get a lot of DMs, that hey, I want to work with Missive, and we've been getting it since, like say, a couple of years since we launched Missive, right? So they want to feel that vibe, the vibe that you are actually feeling it, and that feelings can come via your entire team, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that you sharing the vibe is not just enough. I would say the team today, the people who or the candidates who wanna join, or whom we wanna get them on board, right? We need to showcase that it's not just the founder thing happening in the organization. It's the team, right? Whose vibe that they should be matching up with. And that is how the teams are also inspired to post something on LinkedIn, and that's how people connect, that oh, you're at Missive, oh nice, these and that. So such things happen, right? So it's like, rather than we pushing the team, that you go on LinkedIn and post something, yes, we do tell them that you should be doing it for your career, your professional growth, you need to be doing it. But it's something that it comes from within, right? So yes, when team shares, it does give a huge impact. And when it comes to how we should doing it, it's completely upon the team members, I would say, that how they want to showcase what they have been up to at Missive or your organization.
Yeah, true. Now let's talk about something, some personal part of how you are using LinkedIn. I'll start with when do you actually realize that there is power that LinkedIn gives you and you can start using it? And I'll add one more question to this as a supplementary question. How it has contributed to you personally, to your success as a founder?
Right. So I would say that initially I just used to be very, very active on Twitter because entire SEO community or the marketing community were active on LinkedIn. Oh, sorry, on Twitter, right? So, they were super active. And I think one of my, like say, I would say inspiration or mentor, Amit Panchal from Ahmedabad, you must be knowing him.
Mm-hmm.
So he mentioned me, when we met, he was like that, Himani, why don't you be active on Twitter? It's like, there's a huge community out there. You can learn and see what happens and try posting something, whatever that you do it. And I actually started doing it on Twitter. Slowly and gradually, I like because you are in profession, you're doing job. Of course, from that point on time itself, LinkedIn was get started to get some momentum or the that value that okay, LinkedIn is for jobs, right? And at that point in time, even I was doing job. So I, after like say, uh, being active on Twitter for like say 2 years or 2.5 years, I even started LinkedIn as well. And then slowly and gradually I realized that okay, these two platforms operate differently. Their audience expect different kind of content, they interact differently, and all of those things. So on LinkedIn I took a pattern that okay, on LinkedIn I'll share like say whatever I learned today, I'll share it tomorrow. Right. So it became a habit that, okay, every day I had something to post. Until and unless I post, I was feeling that void that, oh shit, aaj nahi kiya. Right. So, it became a, habit. And then I would say that slowly and gradually after 2 years 3 years I started seeing something happening with my post, which is like people have started interacting with me. They actually ask some questions, I answer them, then they started putting their thoughts, their opinions, I started learning from those opinions and thoughts. So I started loving it, that wow, I mean, this is not just posting kind of a platform, but this is actually helping me learn a lot of things through my connections. So I that point in time I understood the value of your network that you have, right? And it increased in a way that okay, if I was um, casually putting my learnings, then I consciously started choosing that okay, I have these many things what I should post so that I can learn something new in that day, or maybe whatever I have learned which is very unique, I should post it so that my network can learn from it, right? So then the conscious efforts started. And towards I would say 2020, when I actually launched my own agency and when I announced on LinkedIn, I really saw the power of LinkedIn in terms of lead generation. Is that I started getting a lot of leads. Right. So, I understood that, okay, people were watching me, people were watching what I'm doing, what things I have learned or something like that. But the moment they knew that now I have a team, they started putting a bit more trust on me and my team. So I would say as a founder, this was my, changing or life changing moment when, with LinkedIn, that when you launch an agency and you have a pool of people who are here to trust you and your team to get going.
Yeah, so see, when we talk about the personal brand overall, there are some platforms that you have to be on. Maybe Instagram, you include it, email, your own email newsletter, YouTube also if possible for you, and then LinkedIn. And you talked about transitioning from a Twitter person to a LinkedIn person, and I'm sure that's a difficult transition because Twitter is kind of a crude, uh, on the face, and LinkedIn is more professional. What are the initial mistakes that you did when you transitioned, and like how people should avoid when they're posting content across the platform? So one is like, when I'm talking to a lot of founders, one thing that they comes with is like, with the same content they're trying to repurpose or give some twist for Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, email newsletter. But every platform has its own flavor. You cannot have the same content just repurposed or rewrote according to platform and expect an engagement. So maybe you can talk about how to be specific when you are on one platform versus when you are on the other. And building like new content for everything, I put an extra pressure on you, because then you have to like be lot of content ready, which is not possible.
Right, right, right. So yes, that is, the one mistake that even I used to do it. That when I used to put something on Twitter, I used to copy and paste it, right? So initially, that was the thing that I was doing it. And as I also mentioned earlier, that I started posting everything that I learned today, right? Like say, it has to be, my this thing was very clear that I want to write something around content or SEO or my profession, right? So I used to write whatever I have learned, while experimenting something on the content or maybe something experimenting on, a particular aspect of digital marketing. And I used to post it. But then, as I mentioned, that I started consciously choosing some things, right? That okay, no, these things will like say will trigger something for my audience, and they will respond something with their thoughts, their opinions, and something like that. So it's like by doing something, I started noticing the metrics, the engagement, and all of those things, that okay, when these are types of the post that helps me with more conversations than other kind of posts, right? So then I realized that okay, on Twitter, if certain things work, the certain format of content, the crisp, the short works, in LinkedIn you can be thorough, right? You can be detailed in terms of explaining your points, and you can have your story to share, right? Because it has that format that you can write up to certain characters in a particular post. Earlier there were limited, but then eventually LinkedIn opened up those. um, so yeah, I mean, at that time I used to do that. And then I also realized that okay, in Twitter it can be your first your entire tweet that is visible. But when it comes to LinkedIn, if your post is longer, your first 1.5 lines are very, very important. So you have to be very like conscious in terms of what you are going to post in that 1.5 lines. So I would say that I have also done tons of mistakes in terms of like flow, how it works and how it doesn't work, right? Slowly and gradually I understood the pattern of the audience, that how they interact with your post, how LinkedIn showcase your post. Because there was an era in between that people used to say that platforms wants to retain the audience within themselves, and they should not leave the platform. If they leave, the platform discourages that, and the post might get less engagement or something like that. So in that case we also tested putting the links on comments. And then we also realized that okay, let's test without putting on the link, but then we will post it in the first line itself, with your hook statement we post the link. And we saw that we were getting extraordinary traffic from LinkedIn. When we posted that, even if there is a filter, when you leave LinkedIn, they ask you that you are leaving LinkedIn and going to a different site, right? They have put that filter, but still we were able to see that traffic on that particular page. So it's all about that, we understood that it is not on how you put it or where do you put it. It's all about whether you can connect with your audience in that first 1.5 lines. If you are able to do that, people will click on see more and they will read your post. It's
True.
completely that.
Then there's one more thing that makes me curious. So there is a bunch of founder that I personally follow, no offense to them. they are they come across as too self-promotional, self-obsessed in the name of sharing personal stories, like everything. Like if everyone talks about me, it becomes kind of a vendor market, like an open market where everyone is shouting. So how do you actually balance that part also? Because if you're too self-obsessed, then people maybe start judging you as somebody who is narcissist, or maybe too much focused on themselves.
Yeah, so I think I would have been that person that even earlier I might have done something that which showcases that okay, these are my learnings. I used to write such things as well. But then eventually when I go back, so I have this thing that after a certain period of time I go back and check my own content. I review my own content after it has been published, right? So even I read the post that I had written 1 year or 2 years back, right? So I read them to see that, how I can evolve, or how I have evolved with each content, right? So, I find that, of course, you should not be too much me kind of a thing, but you should also, balance it out as well. Yeah, for selling, for the people who are here to sell their courses, or sell their some kind of, resources that they have built, right? So we understand that somewhere it is important, but then nowadays people understand that, these guys are too much into, selling their own stuff, right? So at that point in time, people will start distancing from you, right? So keep a balance, like, say, if you are posting, like, say, 3 posts a week, and if you are promoting, your stuff or your resource or your course or whatever it is, your service, product, whatever you want to sell, so make it a point that, okay, you just do it once a week, that's it, right? Then you also test that, okay, for one post, you post your sales points, or, your connection points in the first comment after the post, right? Test differently and promote your business. It's nothing wrong in promoting your business, but then if it becomes too salesy, then maybe people can start distancing from you. They might think that, okay, I'm not interested right now. So because of their non-interest in your post right now may, affect your uh, engagement as well. And eventually, the moment you will see the decline in your engagement, it you will see a decline in your reach as well.
True. So it's all about keeping a balance and maybe staying on the top of your content mix.
Yeah.
Now, I think we have already recorded around 40 minutes, so
Wow.
that makes a good episode overall. But before we leave, are there any LinkedIn hacks that you want to share with the audience?
So I would say, in terms of hacks, I think pretty much everyone knows it. But then, yes, you know, keep engaging. Very, very important that, more than you post, right? So if you post once a week, uh, do a 10x of engagement with the people that you want to build relationship with, or, you want to network with, right? So it could be your target audience, it could be your customers, it could be your prospects, it could be your, friends, your colleagues, anybody, right? And that's the way to go in terms of growing your own LinkedIn personal brand. And another is, of course, don't overdo it, please, on LinkedIn. Just make it that, when it comes to authenticity, that is valued the topmost. And because now, even on Google, you have started seeing that LinkedIn articles or LinkedIn post also ranks, right? So, there are algorithms who understand that you are a real person, and real person cannot do everything, at all times. So please don't overdo it. And another hack I just mentioned in the previous question, which was your first 1.5 line, is a killer thing to, create. So experiment everything that you wanna do it. So maybe that can help you, like, say, see wonderful results.
So one more question I have, and I just thought of it, asking it before we leave.
Sure,
So
sure.
when do you decide to do business with anyone?
Okay.
Um, do you mandatorily check their LinkedIn profile? And if yes, then what are the important elements that you see and then judge that yes, this is the right person to do business with?
So usually, I definitely look into LinkedIn even when I'm meeting someone. Like, say it's a new person to meet, I'll go and check their LinkedIn if they are available on LinkedIn or not. If they are available, whether they are active or not, right? So if they are active, it is easy to understand their thought processes. If they are not active, then it becomes, it's like, you're going for a, blind conversation. You don't know how that person is, and whatever happens, you have to judge in that particular meeting whether we can do a business with them or not. LinkedIn helps in research, but it does not make in decision making, because that depends on how the interaction has been with that particular person or the company. So that is how we decide that, okay, whether this team looks as exciting as we would be, whether they would be giving us enough time to understand their time, to help us understand their business, their industry, their functioning, their team, everything, right? So, and how passionate even they would be when they will engage with us, right, for the goals that we have set together.
Yeah.
So we try and understand all of those things, and if we feel there's a vibe that matches, the passion that matches for the goals that we have, then we just love working with them.
Thank you so much, Himani. It was really a pleasure talking to you. And thank you so much, guys, for listening to us so far. It was really nice having you as our audience. Do make sure that you subscribe to the 10x Market podcast before leaving. We are available on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube channel. Thank you once again, and thank you, Himani, for being
Thank
here.
you so much for having me. It's really fun conversation that we had.
Thank you.